I am 106 years old and almost everyone I knew is gone. People expect me to talk about medicine, genetics, or luck. I will not. The truth is far simpler and far more uncomfortable. It is something most people avoid every single day without realizing it. If you miss this lesson early in life, your body pays the price later. Stay with me, because this is where real longevity begins. I am 106 years old today, and I say that slowly because age deserves respect, not surprise. I was born in a time when the world moved at a human pace, when bodies worked hard and minds rested at night. I have lived through hunger, loss, physical labor, and long seasons without comfort, yet I am still here, still breathing on my own, still waking up without fear of my own body. People often ask how this is possible, and I can see in their eyes that they want a shortcut, a pill, or a clever trick. I am not here to give them that. I am here to tell the truth as someone who has carried this body for more than a century. Longevity is not something you chase when you get older. It is something you quietly build when no one is watching. At 106, I no longer measure life by years ahead, but by mornings I wake up without pain, and evenings I sleep without regret. This story is not about being special or extraordinary. It is about understanding what slowly destroys the body long before illness appears. I have watched strong people fade early, not because they were weak, but because they lived against the natural rhythm of their bodies and minds. If you are listening to me now, it means you still have time. What I will share is not dramatic, but it is honest. And honesty, when practiced daily, keeps a person alive far longer than most expect. When people hear my age, their first reaction is almost always disbelief. They look at my face, my hands, the way I sit and speak, as if they are searching for proof that I am telling the truth. Some smile politely, others laugh nervously, and a few immediately begin listing illnesses they expect me to have. This reaction has taught me something important about modern life. People no longer expect the human body to last. They have been trained to believe that weakness is normal and that pain is inevitable. When I was younger, old age was respected, not questioned. A long life was seen as the result of discipline, patience, and balance, not luck or rare genetics. What surprises people most is not my age, but the fact that I am still functional. I walk slowly, but I walk. I think clearly, and I remember. This confuses them because many people much younger already feel broken. They tell me their backs hurt, their sleep is poor, their minds are always tired. I listen quietly because I recognize the pattern. Their bodies are not failing suddenly. They are responding honestly to how they have been treated for decades. People are surprised by my age because they see their own future reflected in me, and it makes them uncomfortable. They realize that time is not the enemy they imagined. The enemy is how they live each ordinary day without awareness. I am not extraordinary. I simply did not ignore my body when it whispered warnings. Most people only listen when the body starts shouting, and by then, much damage has already been done. I was born into a world that did not protect comfort the way it does today. Life demanded participation from the very beginning. Food did not arrive easily. Rest was earned, and every day required movement, whether you wanted it or not. As a child, I did not think of this as discipline or health. It was simply survival. We walked long distances, carried heavy loads, and used our bodies fully without overthinking it. There was no constant fear of exhaustion because exhaustion was followed by real rest. When night came, the body slept deeply, not distracted by noise, worry, or endless stimulation. Looking back now, I realize that this balance shaped my body in ways medicine cannot recreate. Hardship trained my muscles, but simplicity protected my mind. We did not eat to entertain ourselves. We ate to live, and we stopped when the body was satisfied. There were no choices that overwhelmed us, no pressure to constantly compare our lives to others. This reduced stress more than people understand today. Modern life has removed physical hardship but replaced it with mental weight, and the body pays for that trade slowly and quietly. Growing up in a hard era taught me respect for effort and limits. I learned when to push and when to stop. Many people today push without listening and rest without recovering. That imbalance wears the body down over time. I am not nostalgic for suffering, but I am grateful for what it taught me. Difficulty, when balanced with rest and purpose, strengthens the body rather than breaking it. There were many moments in my life when my body felt exhausted beyond comfort. I remember waking up with aching joints, heavy legs, and a deep tiredness that settled into my bones. The difference between then and now is not that I avoided fatigue, but that I respected it. I never treated tiredness as a weakness or an enemy. I saw it as a message. When my body needed rest, I gave it rest without guilt. When it needed movement, I moved without excuses. This simple awareness kept small problems from becoming permanent damage. Many people today ignore early signs of strain because they are busy proving something to the world. They push through pain, numb it with distractions, and call it strength. That is not strength. That is neglect. My body was tired many times, but I never abandoned it emotionally. I did not curse it for slowing down or compare it to others. I worked with it, not against it. When you fight your own body, it always wins in the end, and the cost is paid in years, not days. I allowed recovery to be complete, not rushed. I slept when sleep was needed and stayed still without feeling lazy. This taught my body trust. When the body trusts you, it carries you longer. Fatigue is not what shortens life. Ignoring fatigue does. This understanding has protected me quietly for more than a century, and it is something most people learn too late. Movement has been the quiet companion of my entire life, not as exercise, not as a routine designed by others, but as a natural part of existing in the world. I never believed that the body was meant to sit still for long periods, regardless of age. Even now, at 106, I move every day in ways my body allows. I walk slowly, I stand, I stretch, I shift my weight, and I use my hands. Movement keeps the body awake and reminds it that it is still needed. Many people think movement must be intense to matter, but that belief discourages consistency. The body does not need to be punished, it needs to be invited. When you move gently but regularly, the joints stay familiar with motion, the blood flows without resistance, and the muscles remain cooperative instead of stiff and resentful. I have seen people younger than me lose their independence simply because they stopped using their bodies when they still could. They waited for motivation instead of honoring habit. Movement is not about youth or strength. It is about communication. Each small action tells the body that life is still happening. When the body receives that message daily, it responds with resilience. I never waited to feel energetic before moving. I moved in order to feel alive. That difference has carried me through decades without dramatic decline. Stillness, when prolonged, teaches the body to surrender. Movement, even gentle movement, teaches it to endure. One of the greatest mistakes I have seen across generations is the belief that comfort is always kindness. People think that giving the body everything it wants is a form of care. but in truth it often weakens it. Throughout my life I did not treat every desire as a command. When I felt tired, I rested, but I did not disappear into inactivity. When I felt hunger, I ate, but I stopped before fullness became heaviness. This balance taught my body discipline without cruelty. Overindulgence confuses the body. Too much food, too much rest, too much ease all send the same message. Effort is no longer required. When the body receives that message repeatedly, it begins to decay quietly. I never chased pleasure through excess. I enjoyed simple meals, simple routines, and simple rewards. This simplicity allowed my digestion, joints, and heart to work without strain. Many people today treat discomfort as something dangerous, something to avoid at all costs. But mild discomfort is often the signal that growth or balance is taking place. I did not avoid effort, and I did not chase ease. I stayed somewhere in between, where the body feels useful and respected. This approach kept my system steady instead of overwhelmed. A body that is constantly indulged becomes fragile. A body that is gently challenged remains capable. Longevity is not built through extremes. It is built through moderation practiced patiently over time. As my body aged, I learned that the greatest weight a person can carry is not physical, but mental. Worry, resentment, and constant anticipation of problems exhaust the body long before illness appears. I made a quiet decision early in life to keep my mind as light as possible. This did not mean ignoring responsibility or pretending life was easy. It meant refusing to replay pain endlessly in my thoughts. When something went wrong, I faced it, learned what I could, and then allowed it to pass. Many people hold their problems tightly, revisiting them day after day as if repetition will change the outcome. It does not. It only drains the nervous system and weakens the body. I did not bring my worries into the night. Sleep was treated as sacred time for recovery, not as a continuation of anxiety. I noticed that when my mind rested, my body followed. Tension in the shoulders softened, breathing became deeper, and pain faded more quickly. People underestimate how closely the mind and body are connected. A heavy mind creates a tired body, even when nothing is physically wrong. I avoided unnecessary conflict and learned to step away from anger before it settled inside me. Peace is not passive. It is an active choice made repeatedly. By protecting my mental energy, I preserved my physical strength. A calm mind does not guarantee a long life, but a restless mind almost guarantees a shorter one. Over a long life, I learned that longevity is shaped as much by avoidance as by action. There are habits that quietly shorten life, not through dramatic events, but through constant erosion of the body and mind. I avoided unnecessary anger because anger demands energy that the body never recovers. I avoided carrying grudges because resentment tightens the chest and hardens the breath. I watched people age rapidly while holding on to bitterness, and I did not want that future for myself. I also avoided excess noise, not just sound, but mental noise. Endless arguments, constant comparison, and the pressure to always react pull the mind into a state of tension. Tension, when sustained, becomes illness. I avoided living in urgency when it was not required. Rushing through life teaches the body to remain in a permanent state of alert, and that state wears the heart down. I chose simplicity whenever possible. Simple routines, simple meals, and simple expectations created space for recovery. I did not avoid responsibility, but I avoided drama. There is a difference. Drama excites the mind while exhausting the body. Responsibility grounds both. Many people believe longevity comes from adding more habits, more rules, and more techniques. Sometimes it comes from removing what does not serve you. By subtracting stress, resentment, and unnecessary urgency, I gave my body fewer battles to fight. Over time, that peace became protection, and protection became endurance. If there is one lesson life taught me more clearly than any other, it is that endurance is built through patience, not force. When I was younger, I believed strength meant pushing forward without pause. Age corrected that belief gently but firmly. True strength is knowing when to slow down without giving up. I learned that life does not reward speed as much as consistency. People who rush burn brightly but briefly, while those who move steadily remain present longer. I applied this lesson to everything. I worked with care instead of urgency. I rested without guilt. I listened more than I spoke. This approach reduced conflict and preserved energy. Many people treat life like a competition against time, as if slowing down means losing. But time cannot be beaten. It can only be respected. I respected my limits without surrendering to them. I accepted aging without resisting it. Resistance creates tension, and tension accelerates decline. Acceptance creates cooperation between the body and the mind. This cooperation allowed me to adapt instead of break. I did not measure success by achievement alone, but by how peacefully I could live each day. Peace is not weakness. It is efficiency. It allows the body to allocate energy toward healing and maintenance instead of defense. That lesson carried me through loss, hardship, and change without destroying me from the inside. In the end, longevity is less about adding years and more about removing the struggle against what cannot be controlled. At 106 years old, I no longer pretend to know how much time I have left. That question stopped being important to me a long time ago. What matters now is how I meet each day that still arrives. I wake up with the same intention I have carried for decades, which is to use my body while it is willing and to keep my mind clear while it is able. I do not chase youth and I do not fear age. I walk alongside it. Many people believe longevity is about holding on tightly, but I have learned it is about letting go at the right moments. Letting go of unnecessary fear, letting go of constant pressure, and letting go of the need to prove worth through exhaustion. I have lived long because I did not demand more from life than it could reasonably give. I respected my body as a partner, not a tool. When it asked for care, I listened. When it asked for movement, I responded. I did not wait for motivation, inspiration, or perfect conditions. I showed up consistently in small ways, and those small choices accumulated into resilience. If there is anything I hope you take from my life, it is this. Longevity is quiet. It does not announce itself with dramatic habits or extreme discipline. It grows slowly through balance, patience, and attention. You do not need to be extraordinary to live long. You only need to live honestly, listen carefully, and stop fighting the natural rhythm of being human.